All right, welcome back to WMMA Scene Now with your host, Chuck Stevenson, and welcome to episode number 63 of the WMMA Scene Report, a mostly weekly show where we go over everything that's going on within the world of the women's divisions of mixed martial arts. Different format tonight, didn't have time to do a proper video, so it's going to be all voice recording with picture overlay. Tonight, where is Bellator? Where are they? Why haven't they scheduled anything yet? But first, let's start how we always do with the past weekend's results. So first up, Saturday, UFC Fight Night, Woodley versus Burns had two ladies' fights. First up at flyweight, Katlyn Chookagian defeated Antonina Shevchenko via unanimous decision. Chookagian climbed to 14-3. Shevchenko fell to 8-2. Just an absolute domination by Chookagian. Not how I saw that fight going at all, especially with Chookagian going straight to the ground with Shevchenko. That was actually the first time Chookagian took down anyone in the UFC, she revealed afterwards. So a lot of people saying it was easy money for Chookagian, saying they bet on her. I don't know. I know they certainly didn't see the fight going exactly that way. I picked Shevchenko. I was wrong, but I'm not even upset about it. Next up, at strawweight, Mackenzie Dern defeated Hannah Cifers via submission due to knee bar. 2 minutes, 36 seconds of the first round. Dern climbed to 8-1. Cifers fell to 10-5. Cifers, she was doing good on the feet. Then she got taken down, and she actually wound up on top in the scramble. But then she made the deadly mistake of, staying there with Dern. And Dern was able to latch on the leg for the knee bar. Dern making history, getting the first leg submission in the women's divisions of the UFC. So, nicely done by Mackenzie Dern there. Also on Saturday, Octagon MMA had their Underground 3 event. Didn't find out until just today that these were actually exhibition fights, but two of them with fighters you should recognize. First up, Magdalena Sermova defeated Teresa Dvorakova via unanimous decision. That was at bantamweight, which is surprising because you might recognize Sermova from having defeated Kay Hansen last year at the Phoenix Series 1 in a non-tournament bout. Of course, their records remain unchanged. And then in the main event, Teresa Bleda defeated Lucia Pudilova in a bantamweight bout. That was an exhibition as well. Bleda, she is 6-0 as an amateur. Pudilova, of course, 8-6 as a pro, just got released from the UFC. Not a good look for Pudilova. I haven't watched the whole fight yet, but I did see clips, and not a good showing for her. I mean, either this Teresa Bleda is, a wonderkind, a future of the division, or, I don't know, maybe Pudilova possibly took, the night off, as it were, because it's an exhibition. I don't know, but not a good look for her. And then finally, on Sunday, Shudo in Japan had two ladies' fights, both in the super atomweight division. Now theirs is at 50 kilograms. That's 110 pounds. First up, Mina Karobi defeated Saori Oshima via TKO in the third round. And then Megumi Tsukamoto defeated Mirai Nakamura via submission in the second round, I believe by rear naked choke. Now those two will face off in the finals, I believe in July next month, for the tournament finals for the super atomweight tournament, and the winner will be the Shudo super atomweight champion overall as well. So that should make for an interesting final. Wasn't surprised by either of these results. These two were definitely the favorite, especially Megumi Tsukamoto was supposed to face Yeji Lee originally, but due to COVID-19, Yeji Lee could not travel to Japan, and that's when they replaced her with Mirai Nakamura. I said, well, then the finalists are definitely decided, because Karobi was definitely going to beat out Oshima, and I figured Megumi Sugimoto would defeat Nakamura. All right, so that's it for this past weekend's results. So let's move on into the news. First up, Octagon MMA, I think it's Underground 4, this weekend, the 6th, in Slovakia this time. Last weekend it was in Czech Republic. This time it's in Slovakia. I believe this first fight's at flyweight. Lucia Zabora taking on Paula Marcisova. I believe both are making their pro debuts. And then also at flyweight, Lucia Krakovic taking on Elena Gondasova. Krakovic is 1-1, Gondasova 0-2. So, not, the highest level fighters going on over there at Octagon, but it is nice to see an Eastern European promotion making moves. Next up, Deep Jewels 29 has been rescheduled for July 23rd at Shinjuku Face in Tokyo. That was originally supposed to go down May, I believe, the 6th. So it is now going on next month in July with bouts to be decided. Next up, UFC strawweight Carla Esparza revealed via her social media that she has signed a new 4-fight agreement with the promotion. And piggybacking off of that, her first fight in the new contract is already signed. She is taking on Marina Rodriguez on a UFC event on July 15th. That's a Wednesday event. Up next, scheduled for UFC 251 July 11th, or a rescheduled fight at strawweight between Jessica Andrade and Rose Namajunas. Of course, this is a rematch. Andrade defeated Namajunas last year for the strawweight title. Now neither of them are champion, so this will be a non-title bout. Then also scheduled for the UFC, this time on August 15th, a strawweight bout between Livia Renata Souza, 13-2, taking on Ashley Yoder, 7-5. That should make for a fun little bout there. Both are heavy action fighters. Souza is very good everywhere. Yoder, very strong wrestler. Then next up, Upstart Korean show, ARC has announced its second and third events for 27 June and 25 July, respectively, in Seoul. Fights to be announced. ARC had their first event weekend before last, had one ladies fight, so it's safe to say that one of these next two events will also feature a ladies fight as well. And then back to UFC news, Gina Mazzani has been called back to replace Carol Hosa against Julia Avila at the UFC Fight Night scheduled for June 13th. That is the fourth time that the fight between Avila and Hosa has been canceled or rescheduled. So that is unofficially the Khabib versus Tony of the women's divisions, just without, the excitement behind it. Mazzani actually getting called back to the UFC. She had been released, but I imagine she got brought back because she lives in Vegas, so it's an easy setup for her. And then finally in the news, a flyweight bout between Ariana Lipski and Luana Carolina has been moved from the June 13th UFC Fight Night to an event scheduled for July 18th. All right, so that's it for the news. Now, as far as the rankings go, surprisingly, no ranking moves even after a UFC event. Of course, One Championship rankings are still in static right now because they are still on hiatus due to that thing. Now moving along to the segment, Welcome to the Scene. Welcome to Aragal, Steve Johannes, and Sem Cesar. Every week we recognize the newest named subscribers to the channel. So thank you for subscribing and welcome. So moving along to this weekend's upcoming fights. As soon as I can, iPad wants to do something. All right, UFC 250 has one ladies fight, but it is the most important one. The main event, featherweight title fight. Amanda Nunes defending against Felicia Spencer. So we'll go down the stats real quick here. Nunes coming in 19-4. The Phenom coming in 8-1. Nunes, of course, having a winning streak going all the way back to 2015. Spencer coming in off a win over Zerafan dos Santos 3 months ago, and a loss to Chris Cyborg before that. However, it's a loss via decision, so she actually made it to the judges against Cyborg. Nunes is the older fighter, 32-29 for Spencer, and for some reason I thought Spencer would be the taller fighter, but it's actually Nunes by 1 inch or 2 centimeters. 5 feet 7 inches, 170 centimeters for Nunes. 5 feet 6 inches, 168 centimeters for Spencer. Then, of course, it extends to the reach as well. 69 inches, 175 centimeters for Nunes, and 68 inches, 173 centimeters for Spencer. So I did a full breakdown of this fight in its own video. I will leave a link in a pinned comment. Please go check that out if you haven't yet. My pick for this fight is Amanda Nunes. All right, so that is it for the upcoming fights this weekend. Of course, only one, unfortunately. So tonight I want to talk a little bit about Bellator. Well, where is Bellator right now? They haven't held an event since Bellator 240, February 22nd in Dublin. Now, of course, we all know that with the COVID-19 pandemic going on and everybody was on quarantine, a lot of events, shut down. But here's the thing, though. A lot of them are already coming back. UFC has already held 4 events. Tomorrow will be their 5th event on Saturday. Shudo is back in Japan. Deep Jewels made their announcement for next month. Korean MMA is back. ARC just held their event 2 weeks ago, and they've got 2 more scheduled. Meanwhile, really not a peep from Bellator. We heard from Scott Coker that they were planning for a July return somewhere in California in a TV studio. But so far we have no date, we have no fight announcements, nothing. Meanwhile, today is June 5th. So you've got less than a month until July. These fighters got to have full fight camps, or you would hope that they would have at least some kind of fight camp, at least a few weeks out before you hold an event. So what's holding Bellator back? I mean, we know that they're headquartered in California and that they were planning on returning to California. Well, California is going to be one of the last states to reopen. So honestly, if California is the problem, then maybe they should take the show on the road. Go to Florida. You don't have to do a freaking arena like the UFC did. Honestly, that was expensive for them. Find a hotel. Go to the Seminole Hard Rock. They'd host Bellator. They have in the past. Maybe they won't do it without, making any money. Who knows? Rent out a hotel conference room. You don't need a big arena, a big studio to hold an event in. Use a hotel conference room. There's plenty of hotels right now whose conference rooms are empty, their ballrooms are empty. That's a lot cheaper than any arena. If California is the problem, time to take the show on the road. Because here's the deal. The longer Bellator takes to return, the farther they're going to fall behind. Okay? And they're already way behind the UFC in not just returning, they're way behind the UFC in just about everything. I mean, pretty much they're a hardcore fans only promotion. Only the hardcore watch them in the US, it seems like. Their ratings sure reflect that. So they're not going to be gaining any new casual fans. It doesn't seem like. So it just seems like Bellator is taking way too long to make these decisions. And it's just silly at this point because the world is moving on. MMA is already returning. It's already returned in the US. Bellator needs to make some moves. They need to, make some decisions and get some things done. Get an event scheduled. Get the fight set. And get back to business. They're overdue. Anyway, that's all of my thoughts on that. Hopefully Bellator will, come to their senses, get off their butts, and make some choices. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, because that's all I really have for this week. Let me know your thoughts. Like I said, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Of course, likes are always appreciated. And hey, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to WMMA Scene now, the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.